Chandler, thank you for joining me today on Pop Culture Unplugged.
Hello, thanks so much for having me.
Exciting times. I was right before we went on. I was doing some more research on you, and you've been busy the last few years, and now we see you on Dexter Original Sin as well. Let's talk a little about your journey. I'm kind of curious, like, what made you get into the industry? Because I saw you did musical theater, opera, TV, film. Like, what's left on that bucket list of yours?
Yeah, I just love the entertainment industry, clearly. I did start doing musical theater and I was like, this is my be all end all. And I was Broadway bound. And then I discovered film and TV after a few years and I just fell so in love with it. And I started on Bloodline. And I'm originally from Florida, so I got to film in Florida and all that. And it was unlike anything I'd ever experienced. And then I got really bit by the film and TV bug. So I just decided to throw myself into it. And I've gotten to do some really cool projects over the last couple of years, especially. I got to work with Steven Spielberg, which was a dream,
Right.
on the Fabelmans, and Anne Hathaway and Michael Showalter on The Idea of You these last couple of years as well. And it's just been a dream. And now I'm on Dexter, and that's been such an incredible experience as well. I mean, the people I got to work with are just like the greatest people of all time, and it's legendary. Dexter
Right,
is
right.
legendary.
What's next? What's next? What's the goal after all this?
Oh, just continuing to immerse myself in film and TV and theater as well when those opportunities come along. But I'd love to continue on with TV. The dream is always to, get
Yeah.
on a show that runs for 7 years and get to build like an on-set family. So hopefully that dream happens soon. That's what I'm manifesting for myself.
Right, right. Any comedy that you want to hit someday, like a sitcom or something?
Oh my gosh, that would be so fun. I feel like we don't see as much of that like true sitcom work nowadays.
Yeah.
It's a lot more single cam, which is fantastic, but I would love to do a comedy. I mean, that would just be so fun to just go on set and have people make you laugh and make people laugh all day. That's a dream for sure.
Yeah, right. What made you jump into the entertainment industry though? Like when you were younger, was it like something you just like you started watching something, you're like, this is what I think I want to do? Like, how did that happen?
Well, I was a natural singer growing up. So
Okay.
once I started singing in middle school, it was just kind of a no-brainer. I was like, "Oh, I'm really good at this." And I enjoy it, it comes naturally, and so I started training for it. And once I stepped on stage and started like combining the two,
Yeah.
acting and singing, I was like, "Oh, I can do both. Like
Hmm.
this is allowed. Like and I can make this a career. Okay, let's do it." And it was just kind of not even a question. I didn't even think about it. It just was like once the foot was on the stage, I was like, "Oh, this is this is it. This is where I belong.
Yeah.
This is where I belong, you know?"
Was there a backup plan just in case you didn't make it or anything? You would like, all right, like if I don't make it into TV film, maybe work behind the scenes. Was there always something like that?
Um, yeah, I guess I really wanted to be an eye doctor's assistant. I didn't want to be the eye doctor. I wanted to be the
Right.
eye doctor's assistant because they get to do all the cool stuff and do all the fun tests. I love the eye doctor. Everybody hates the eye doctor. I love the eye doctor. But that was my plan B.
Right. They,
Didn't
what's
last very long.
what's been like your parents' reaction seeing you on TV and film?
They've been incredibly supportive. My mom is so supportive. She's the one who originally encouraged me to
Okay.
to take voice lessons and join choir. She was like, "You're
Hmm.
humming all the time. You need to join choir." And I was really shy and I was like, "No." And then she made me do it and I was like, "Oh, this is so much fun." And then it just kind of snowballed from there. It went to theater camp, to going to high school for theater, and to, going to all these theater intensives and then film and TV intensives and then
Hmm.
getting into commercials and like doing movies. And so it just, yeah, they've been so supportive. My mom is just like there every step of the way and is so excited every time I'm in something. And I'm lucky. I'm lucky. Some people
Right.
who have parents who are like, "Don't get into the arts." And my mom was like, "Whatever you do, pursue your dreams."
There you go. You mentioned Spielberg before, but you also worked with like Showalter also. Like when you worked with
Mhm.
them, did they give you any advice for your future or anything or your career?
That's such an interesting question. I wouldn't say we had many talks about the future because everything just moves so quickly on set.
Yeah.
But I'd say that working with them did inform my future because working with Spielberg, like when I got that audition, I was like, yeah, everything was so secret. And I was like, they're like veiling the production company. They're keeping everything under wraps. So this must be important. This must be
Mm,
big. And then I did some digging and figured out that it was working with Spielberg as the director, his production company, and it's his biopic, essentially. So I was like, okay, this is a big deal. And then when I booked it, I was like, okay, I'm worthy. I should be in this industry. I should, there's all these milestones of validation within the
yeah.
entertainment industry. I feel like you need validation because there's so much rejection. So once I got the opportunity to work with these Oscar award-winning directors, Showalter, Spielberg, Oscar award-winning actors, actresses, it makes you want to continue doing it. It makes you
Mm,
feel like I'm in the right place, you know?
yeah.
So
Did you audition in front of Spielberg, or did you have to go through certain levels to get them?
it was in the midst of COVID. I think I
Okay.
auditioned in 2021, if I'm not mistaken. So it was still like at all the COVID restrictions. So everything was via Zoom.
Yeah.
Um, and I think pretty much everyone auditioned via Zoom, callbacks via Zoom, everything on online only. So when I showed up to my first day on set, I was like, is this real? Because like Steven Spielberg was dressed up in all the COVID garb, like
Yeah.
face mask, face shield, like in long sleeves at the beach in July in like 95-degree weather. And I was like, his name tag says Steven Spielberg, but he could be anyone. I can't see
Right.
him.
Awesome. Let-
Yeah.
let's jump into now Dexter Original Sin. How did this happen? We see you as Daniela, one of Deb's friends. Was that an audition? Was that somebody that you've worked with before? They said, "Hey, we might have a part for you. Come on in." How did that happen?
Yeah, I mean it was a regular audition process, but they did bring me in for a couple other roles before
Really?
before I landed on Daniela and booked that role. So they kept calling me back in to read for other roles. I was like, "Oh, maybe I looked too young for this role. Maybe I was Dexter's mom, I think, that I was auditioning for. So I was like, maybe in the flashbacks, I don't quite look like the original actor that played that role. So
Mm,
all these factors, but I was like, but they like me. I can tell that they like me. They want to keep seeing me because they keep asking me back. So hopefully
right.
they find a place for me, and eventually they did, and I get to play Daniela.
That's awesome. So you went for the mother role? Is that what it was? Your
Yeah, I think
first?
that one was first. Yeah.
Wow. That's
Mhm.
awesome.
Yeah,
Um,
such good writing.
what was the description you were given for Danielle after you booked her?
Um, oh gosh, the description, party girl. I remember that being in the description. She's a party girl. She goes where the fun is happening, and she's kind of a way-weather friend.
Mm,
And she's one of Deb's volleyball teammates. So we're really into volleyball. We trained like half the summer to play volleyball really well,
that's
which was
awesome.
so fun. So after I booked the role, they were like, "All right, volleyball camp starts next week." And I was like, "Volleyball camp? What are you talking about?"
Did you find that easy at least after you went through the camp?
Yeah, luckily I'm pretty athletic. So I was like, this will be fun. Haven't played since like middle school, but it'll be an easy pickup for me. And it was so much fun. We all learned really quickly, and they were such good coaches to us. And it really helped create that camaraderie like a real sports team would have. So we all got to get to know each other before actually going on set and recording anything. Um, 10 out of 10 experience. I mean, the girls are just the nicest people ever.
That's awesome. Did
Yeah.
you for Daniela too, like where I'm going with this is like this is a prequel to the original Dexter, so these are characters are a lot the younger version. They had to go and like study the older version to get prepared for this. For you didn't have to do
Yeah.
that. So did you find
Yeah.
this easier to portraying this character?
Yeah. I mean, seeing them embody they have their original takes on the characters, but like the casting for the young versions of the characters, you want to have that essence of the original cast members,
Yeah.
So watching them emulate those actors was so cool. And I got to, originate a character, so I just pretty much got to do whatever I wanted and whatever the
Yeah,
director guided me to do. Um, I mean, that sounds so fun to have to like copy the voice and the mannerisms and all that. But I, yes, I would say I had an easier job because I didn't have to
right.
copy people exactly. But that sounds like so much fun, honestly.
Right. Now, for you as an actor, like, how did you feel like stepping into like this universe? Because it's got a huge fan base. Like, I'm a huge fan of Dexter. I've seen the first three episodes of the original Sin also, but for you
Hmm.
as an actor stepping into this, how does it make
Yeah.
you feel?
Oh, it's just the coolest experience. I mean, Dexter is such a huge show, and now it's a huge universe. There are so many diehard Dexter fans for
Yeah,
such a good reason, because I mean, like the concept of the show, a serial killer that you're rooting for because he only kills the bad guys.
yeah.
It's just an unbeatable concept. It's just uh the opportunity of a lifetime to be a part of such a huge show. So I was psyched. I was so excited. I was like, "Oh my gosh, they're making a prequel to Dexter. Let's go."
Did you go and watch the older show just to like get an idea, or like have you already been watching it?
Yeah, I had seen some of it, but I hadn't
Okay.
like seen the entire series. So I went
Yeah.
back and I watched everything. And
Mm.
it holds up. It's just so good. The
Yeah.
writing is amazing. Yeah, I was so excited.
Yeah. Without, I don't want to talk too much spoilers, but like how would you character arc for Danielle coming up? How many episodes are we going to see you in, and what can you tease about this character?
Ooh, I'm in 5 episodes, I believe. And I really just help Deb along with her arc and her journey. I am a
Yeah,
supporting character, so it's all about helping those series regulars get to where
right.
they need to be and help flesh out their relationships that help inform their characters. Um, so yeah, she gets up to some mischief, and
There you
I
go.
can't really give any spoilers, but um, I think everybody will like where they take all
Yeah.
the characters.
What'd you think of Molly Brown playing Deb?
Molly is the nicest person I've ever met
Mm.
on a set. She's literally the greatest, most welcoming person. And then what she brings to Deb, she's also just immensely talented and she's so fun to work with. She's hilarious. Is just making everyone burst out laughing while she's not even, well, the cameras aren't even rolling. So, like, when she's on camera and the cameras are rolling, she's like lightning on camera. She's incredible. She brings such a great flair to Deb. I think she really does it justice.
What's your thoughts on Patrick Gibson playing Dexter, the
Oh,
younger version?
also just the nicest guy ever. I mean, we had like 2 overlapping days on set, I think, but he is so gracious, so kind, and it's so funny because when he's he's not American. So when he like turns on the accent and he
Yeah.
just he just turns into Dexter. He also brings his own take on the role, but the mannerisms and the voice of Michael C. Hall, he just really has it down. It was so cool to see that just like flip of the switch and there's Dexter
Mm.
in high
Yeah.
school.
Right. Are we going to see any interaction between the young Dexter and your character?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There is some interaction. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Hmm.
So yeah, so we'll see you in about 5 episodes, you said, this season. What do you hope you like
Hmm.
for the viewers tuning to watch this series? What do you hope they get out of it?
I mean, when I watch a show like Dexter, of the caliber of Dexter, I'm always wanting more. I'm
Mm,
always wanting to know like the backstories of all the other characters too. And, even if they're like side characters, I want to dig deep into that.
yeah.
So I think it's really cool that they've done the sequel series. And I think it's so cool that they're doing the prequel series and digging even deeper into that um, world of how Dexter grew to become this lovable serial killer, how he
Mm,
decided to stick to the code
yeah.
that he lives by, that Harry has taught him, and the journey to get there. Because they had the flashback scenes in the original show, but it only goes so far. So this really
Right.
just opens up the floodgates to that
Yep.
world of how Deb and Dexter grew up.
Right. How did it feel about being part of the 90s?
I love the 90s. I love the 90s. The fashion. I was so excited for the
Yeah.
costume fittings because the stuff that they pulled is so authentically, it's from the 90s. It's all
Yeah.
vintage clothing and just like the designs and the colors and oh my gosh, we in one of our volleyball games, I remember we had it must have been like 300 background actors in the
Yeah.
stands playing all the fans of the volleyball game and watching all the 300 background walk in with total 90s garb.
Mm.
All the teals and the purples and the designs, the high-waisted stuff and oh my gosh, it was very nostalgic. Loved it.
Amazing. That's
Love a
amazing.
period piece.
Now, what's next for you now? Any projects you'll have to tell us about that you're coming out? Are you about to go work on?
I have a cartoon coming up that's very
Oh,
exciting, that I have a guest star in, but I can't say much more than that. But it's my debut into the animation world, which is very
yeah,
exciting, and
that's
there might be some musical theater in my future.
uh,
Um, yeah, yeah, some exciting stuff coming up. Can't wait for 2025.
there you go. There you go. Chandler, let's end this by how can the listeners, the viewers now find your social media, keep up with you? And I've noticed you've been posting some pictures from Dexter.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and I get as the episodes come out, I'll be able to post even more because they don't want to leak the costumes and
Right,
stuff.
right.
So yeah, I can't wait for everyone to see and the big finale. So
Uh, where can they find you on social media?
that they can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Chandler Lovelle.
Amazing. Chandler, I want to thank you for giving me a few minutes. Let's continue on with this story down the road with future projects.
Definitely. Thank you so much for having me.